Hey guys, and welcome back to another edition of Motor Movie Reviews. This time we're counting the best and worst we've seen this year in a top 5 list. So, yeah, we might as well get to it, I suppose. What do you think of this, last year in film then, Amelia?
It's the opposite to last year, which was weird. I think DC did better compared to Marvel.
Fair enough. I don't really have a strong opinion either way beyond the fact that I saw the movies. And they were at least somewhat watchable. And yeah, now we've got that out of the way, I'll just start and
Let's just say I'm not happy. I'm not happy in that aspect.
Yeah, you're feeling glad you got sunshine in a bag. If anyone gets that reference, good for you. Anyway, so let's start off.
This is my happy face, right? It's hiding all the darkness in my heart.
Nick Crowley's Darkest YouTube channel's coming anyway. So let's start with the worst stuff because we want to end this on a positive note. So for my start, I'm going to start with a bunch of honourable mentions. I think I might as well get out of the way first when it comes to worst of. And my two are, the first one being Dashcam, which has often made a lot of these lists and featured quite prominently quite often. And honestly, my attitude is with something like Dashcam, it's fine. I actually don't dislike it quite intensely, as a lot of other people do. Most notably, Cody Leach, I think his name is, actually has it quite prominently on his list. I enjoyed it fine. I mean, it's typical Blumhouse bait and switch. They'll have a hero be a, mask, anti-lockdown conservative type, and then make her really annoying and all just sort of bait and switch anyone right-wing watching. But it's an entertaining horror once it gets going, so there's that. And yeah, I mean, it's Blumhouse, so I thought it would be a lot worse than it actually was. And I found it quite enjoyable, entertaining. It's not high art, but it's Blumhouse. When I rented their films, high art. So that's one of the honourable mentions. And the other one is Lady of Heaven, which is probably the most boring film I've seen this year. And you can tell because all the House of Bollywood talk about Lady of Heaven, where there's heavenly lights coming from the car. But anyway, something like Lady of Heaven, yeah, really boring, probably the most boring film I saw through all year. I'm gonna say I didn't see it at the cinema because if I did, I'd probably get murdered by someone. Anyway, but still, having watched the film, it's quite an interesting one, even though it's boring as shit, and it's probably the most boring film I've seen this year, and it still didn't make the cut, which should tell you how bad some of these other films are. All the while, the most interesting thing about Lady of Heaven is the fact that it's essentially like one of these religious videos you'd watch in primary school or secondary school. Well, okay, I don't think you show anyone this in primary school,
probably.
Well, not this film particularly, because it's essentially a lot more bloody, a lot more vengeful and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And it's not that good. But, I mean, it's just mainly very boring. It's well made enough, but it's just so fucking tedious and laborious. It's the only historical film I think from last year that makes the Northman look somewhat sophisticated by comparison. So that should give you an idea what kind of film it is. And there's a thing, what is it, between the whole film is essentially, well, at the beginning, spoilers by the way, in case you really want to see this fucking thing, is between, what is it, the eponymous woman on the side who's Muhammad's daughter, and the other thing, which was the main protagonist, who's a little boy who has his mother killed quite early in the film, and they're like trying to draw parallels, which would make sense if the boy had any sort of development, boy's mother, I should say, sorry, had any sort of development, but no. You don't get in this sort of film, so there's that. And, yeah, it's just really, I found it really boring and tedious, and some of the actresses you clearly could tell where they got their influence from, 300. But, so if you're ready to say beyond that, just beyond some of the acting, because it's legitimately very dreadful, and near the end of the film, there's a certain event that happens, which I don't think I could say on YouTube, because I'll probably be demonetized, but let's just say they handle it very badly and all the rest of it, and it's just very corny, very cheesy and all the rest of it, well-meaning, but yeah, it's bored legitimate shit out of me, so... And again, it's the most boring film of the year, of last year. Still didn't make the cut, so... If it didn't cause so much controversy, no one will remember this thing, because... And yeah, there's nothing really more to say about Lady of Heaven other than the fact that it's really boring and laborious, and some of the acting in it is very dire, especially from some of the kid actors, and some of the historical bits are just... It's just really corny and stupid, so... If you like... maybe some others can find this really entertaining, but... because of what it's about, but it's just for me the same way a lot of Catholics find the Passion of the Christ very entertaining, which I, as an atheist, I don't really have a dog in the fight, so it's not really entertaining for me. But still, anyway. And by the way, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to make a joke, but I changed my mind. Anyway, so yeah, number 5 on my worst of list is going to be that of the the other really boring film I saw this year, which, caught up on some of them, so I think I'm okay to say that, is the 355, the one with Jessica Chastain and so on. I don't really have much to...
I thought I had Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, it does have him in it, and he's not a particularly great villain.
I like Sebastian.
Well, he's not particularly good in the film, but then again, the material's not very good, so I don't blame him. Then again, no one's invested in the film, which... That includes Jessica Chastain, by the way, who can be great in other things, but not in this. It's her passion project, her company's involved, but apparently she doesn't particularly care about her passion project that she helped to fund and write and so on. All the while...
Maybe because she realised it was not great.
Well, maybe she shouldn't have released it in the cinemas. I'd have dumped it on Amazon Prime where it belongs or something.
God, or one of those DVD things.
Well, that's what she should have done, as opposed to release it in cinemas. Because the main things about this film is that it's a very badly cast film all round. Most notably with the likes of Lupita what's her name? The you know, the one I mean.
Wait, describe her?
The one, I think she's in Black Panther as well, but I can't remember how to pronounce her name. It's a quite challenging name.
Does she play the sister of T'Challa?
No. I don't... the one who won the Oscar for 12 Years a Slave, I'll just leave it at that. And she plays a British person.
I think I know who you mean. Oh, that's going to annoy me now.
Yeah, and then all the people flooding the comments say how evil. Oh, well. Anyway, but she is legitimately...
What, all the robots?
Well, yeah, them. Anyway, but also, yeah, she's not particularly well cast in the film as a British person who is putting on such a thick accent. I'm surprised she doesn't jump into having, oh, I drink tea and watch cricket.
Oh, God, I hate that.
Oh, you really love her in the film, then? Apparently, Naomi Harris was either unavailable or she turned it down. Either way, you know, benefits for her, I suppose.
Like, I watched YouTube recently, and then there was like it was like a bunch of Americans, and they were all doing British accents while drinking tea. I just wanted to be sick. It's horrible.
Well, it's horrible in the film. And there's other miscastings too, most notably Penelope Cruz as, what do you call it? The sort of shy, not particularly confident security rep or whatever it is. I don't know, psychologist. And it's like, feisty Penelope Cruz playing that, okay. And there's one quite funny scene when she's like trying to flirt with some Bosnian agent or some shit in order to get something, and she, you know, it just shows how badly miscast she is. When on the one end she be this shy person, and then they tell her to be more confident, that the actual Penelope Cruz comes out, and I'm thinking, okay, then why am I here? But also, just the plot
Watch the film?
Well, not out of enjoyment, but still. Anyway, but the plot is very mentally uninteresting.
For this video, to watch film for the video.
That too, I suppose. And the film is very, yeah, badly written, badly directed, and yeah, the actresses are literally terrible in it because, Jesus Christ, the ones in Lady of Heaven are better, which should give you sort of an indication, because at least they're shot and choreographed well. Whereas in this film, it's just, they're fighting each other, it's very sluggish and slow, where they're literally, oh. There we go. Well, they're literally fighting each other and all the rest of it. And they just, it's very sluggish and slow. It's like they're just practicing for the main thing as opposed to actually doing it. And the other things as well is, the action, yeah, just the action's terrible and it's really boring often. Oh yeah, the Chinese one who's in it is only in it for like the last half hour, so what's the point? And, what is it? The only one who's actually really good in this is Diane Kruger, because she's the only one who actually has a character, and she's the only one who actually, has any sort of commitment to the role. And this honestly feels like one of those action movies in light of Bourne from like 10 years ago that don't make anymore. Whatever you can say about the MCU killing a lot of these genres is like, well, I don't think that genre is going to be missed by anybody. Yeah, the acting is, yeah. And it's just not particularly great. And Jason Fleming's in it for 5 minutes, so he gets killed. I don't know why he's not the main villain. And it's just essentially essentially feels like a bad time crisis movie, I suppose. And again, it feels like a film from 10 years ago, which may explain why Diane Kruger's not really aged much in the last 10 years since I last saw in a movie, that being Inglourious Basterds, which at least is much better than this. And the final thing about it is that Jessica Chastain, near the end of the film, smiles, and then it cuts the credit. She's the only one who is. And I'm very glad this didn't do very well, and I just don't get why they even bothered making this. And it's, again, another one of these films that has the bait and switch that I discussed with Dashcam, where on the one end they pretend to be America-loving because they have the reason that the thing's called the 355 is named after apparently George Washington's female army recruits or something like that. And on the other hand, they criticize the US a lot. I mean, it reminds me very much of a really good Twitter thread, that Amelia put up about the sort of like eating away at middle road blockbusters. It all depends with globalism. So if you can read that, it was very interesting and insightful from someone who actually is intelligent, unlike Simon Kinberg, which I don't know. Just that's it. And Dark Phoenix is much better than this, although that has flaws, it's better than the director's debut film, which was this one. So, and that's all I have to say about that. Do you have anything to add?
No,
which I know you haven't. Yeah. But it's really riveting if you have a taste for really shitty. I mean,
Sebastian Stan is great.
Not in this, and he sort of reminds me actually of the bad guy. The sort of at the end of Longer Friday, there's quite a funny line about "Look at you, the mafia. I've shit him." That's what the sort of thing he is. If you watch Longer Friday instead. Anyway, but my number 4
you can't
quickly.
do anything wrong in my eyes. That's all I can say.
Watch the 355, you'll find out otherwise. But then again, no one else really bothers. Or Team America World Police, which just unintentionally reminded me of quite a few times. Anyway, number 4 is Deep Water. This Ben Affleck and what's her name? The one from, I don't know her name, I'm afraid. Sorry. It's just really stupid, fucking dumb thriller.
Loads of people seem to like that film, so I was surprised when you said you didn't like it.
What, Deep Water? Well,
on the internet.
Well, people have low standards, I suppose, because this film is not legitimately that good. It's very badly written, and...
Actually, I shouldn't have been shocked.
Well, it's just really badly written and directed. And also acted as well. Maybe not acted as much, but Ben Affleck and the other one aren't particularly charismatic figures. And the thing wrong with Ben Affleck's acting, and I think, Nick's nitpicks pointed this out on his YouTube channel, or their YouTube channel, I should say, sorry, was that he only has one sort of shtick, which is kind of alright, where essentially he's just the weird, sort of quirky guy who's like, you know, face a bit fucked off all the time. That works in some of these films, like Chasing Amy, where he's legitimately very good in. But, yeah, in this film, not so much, because he's essentially really... It's just one role, and he's very good at it, again, when it's stuff like Chasing Amy, but not for something like this. But also, yeah, it's legitimately not very well acted, it's not very well written. Especially the dumb fucking climax, where... All I'll say is, in case you want to see it, spoilers, by the way, I should have said it at the beginning, but hey, better late than never. A car is able to, I'll just say in the climax, all that happens is that a car is able to be a van because the guy can't bother to stop fucking looking at his phone.
Just like me.
Well, the difference is you're not driving a van and you're not the climax of a bad movie, especially when it kills the only really good actor in it. Tracy Letts, which is a weird name for a boy, a man, but then again, Ice-T's real name is also Tracy, so make of that what you will. Anyway.
Maybe they like the name so much.
But,
or they lost a bet.
Anyway, but also about this film is that it's just legitimately not particularly well written or acted. And welcome to Adrian Lynn's style. I mean, I'm not a fan of his direction because I've seen two of his other films, Jacob's Ladder and Alita, which I didn't like either of them. But at the very least, there was a director with a lot of flair and passion, which that's gone, and this feels like a Channel 5 made-for-TV movie. You should know the ones I mean, because you've seen enough of them.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you said this one's a lot more erotic, and it's about as erotic as nothing, and yeah, this is bad, and Adrian Lynn, please fucking retire. You have not made a good movie from what I've seen, and I highly doubt I'm going to like the other schlock you've made. So, yeah, this film's weak and bad, and should probably be buried in some deep water somewhere. I mean, no wonder they dumped this director's video. Yeah.
Buried in some deep water.
Yeah, well, deep shit as well, but can't make all choices. And it's, again, just very flat directed. I don't really have much more to say. I assume the book's better, because otherwise why would they even bother? And that's all I really have to say on that. So, yeah, you're number 3 because you've essentially been like Baldrick and you now have permission to speak.
Aw, thanks. Do I get a little tiger as well, like a talking tiger?
If you want.
It's from a show that I watched last night.
Not Blackadder, presumably. Anyway.
No.
You're number 3?
Okay. Right, now it's war. So, number 3, I don't think a lot of people are going to like this or be a fan of this, is I Came By, which is a film on Netflix. It was, I can't really describe how bad this film actually was. So they advertised this entire film on the premise of this guy breaking into his house, being this graffiti artist, being part of the gang, like sort of investigating this judge, and then him finding out all these messed up things about his judge and what he's done, etc, etc, and his entire background. And I thought, oh, this is great. And then within the first, if my math serves me correctly, which it probably doesn't, 15 minutes roughly, goes missing. Turns out they all try and investigate. I can't remember which one finds out who it is. He's dead.
Do you care?
No, not really. He's dead. And then turns out someone else dies related to him. His mum dies because she went and broke into his house, the judge's house, trying to find him. And then it turns out, oh yeah, also he'd been keeping someone downstairs alive.
This is Hugh Bonnefield's character, yes?
Yeah, Hugh Bonnefield's character, this judge, for whatever reason. And he hadn't killed him for whatever reason. Who knows? But he decides to kill everyone else who breaks into his house. But, like, it's weird. So then, this judge, Hugh Bonnefield's character, takes him... oh god, it goes to like this hideout or whatever, moves the location or whatever, and then his partner, the original guys of this gang I came by, then goes after. It's just a ludicrous premise of a film, and you know, I'm explaining it, I don't get it, and if I don't get it, then no one else is gonna get it. I'm not saying I'm clever or anything, it's just rubbish, it's trash. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. Oh, it was horrifying. It was shit, basically.
Alright, so you thought it was crap then?
Yeah, basically.
Alright then, and anything more to say on that?
No, I don't want to talk about it anymore, it's just garbage.
Well, it looked really riveting, especially the stuff they talk about asylum seekers in it, but I just didn't see it because I'm not interested in this sort of film, because I know what kind of film it's going to be, and it's going to make me want to drink bleach.
It made my head want to explode, basically. The way I just described that film was how I feel about any trash film, in a complex sort of manner, in a disinterested sort of form, of which I never want to talk about anything ever again.
Okay.
Honestly. If it was a disc version of the film, I'd throw out the window.
We'll cut it in half, no?
Nah, throw out the window's better. Hopefully it'd land on something.
Ruby might catch it.
Then she can do what she wants with it.
Ruby's odds, by the way, she's been subbed by video, so hopefully that's context. Is there anything more you want to say? Because I've got another one.
Never again. Absolutely not.
Okay.
No way.
Alright then. And by the way, mine's number 3, and also drum roll, please. It's Morbin time!
That's number 3.
Yeah, on mine, yeah. Well, I've seen... the other ones I've got coming up are actually worse than Morbius, believe it or not. So yeah, my number 3 is Morbius, the best superhero film ever made. If you're high on, you know, whatever fucking substances you're on. Anyway, but also, yeah, Morbius is legitimate shit, and probably the worst superhero film since Catwoman, and that's not a light statement, given some of the ones we've seen, but it's actually worse than a good chunk of them that you've seen, even worse than New Mutants, surprisingly enough. Worse than, I know you like Suicide Squad, but for me, worse than Suicide Squad. Because those films are at least well made and are of their time, as opposed to Morbius, which feels like a film from 2006. It feels like The Covenant, if anyone gets what I mean. And just miscast again. Jared Leto, who I actually think is a really good actor. He's very good in The Fight Club, and he's very good in Lord of War, but him and superhero films do not mix, just like Jeremy Irons and Dragon movies do not mix. If anyone gets that reference, good for you. I'll give you a gold star. Anyway, but this film, which is very in tone, in style, and in effects, feels like it's from 2006. And it's just really bad. And again, Jared Leto's miscast in the lead role because he's a bit too subdued as an actor to be a charismatic fucking lead. And what's his name? Matt Smith, who's a perfectly good actor, is very miscast. He's like sort of the weaseling bad guy. Weasel bad guy, I should say, sorry. Well, that's really inappropriate for like this mastermind he's meant to be playing. And there's no sort of like, there's character beats that they skip over, so it doesn't make any sense. Oh, you've always treated me really badly, says Milo. And like, okay, when did we see that? Then is it some rough cut they dumped? Maybe. And the special effects are fucking legitimately dreadful. 2006 they probably would have looked mediocre, but they look awful now. Stranger Things is better on television, I'll say that much better. If they could do that with probably less money than Morbius, well, I'm not even sure actually, but
I think they had... I think I read something about Stranger Things. How much? What was the budget of the special effects? I know a lot of it was makeup, but how much of it? I want to say they had 250,000
okay, that's probably
or something. I want to say that wasn't per episode though. It was like I want to say it was. I want to say per episode, but I don't know if that's right.
Well,
I read somewhere
the
that's what it was,
dipshits can
but I
fact
don't know
check.
if that's true.
But the actually types can fact check. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, this film is legitimately terrible. And it's also very badly acted, and it's very badly written. And it's just, what else is there to say about this film that's been said a million times beyond the fact that it feels so dated, and the atrocities in it are terrible, and the effects are legitimately dreadful, especially the bat effects, which probably make House of Dead 2's look, you know, really modern and advanced, if anyone gets that drift. At least that game's fun to play, which this film is not fun to watch, it's laborious and tedious, so... And that's my number 3. So you can imagine how bad it's going to get further down the line. What's your number 2, by the way, little sister?
What you just said.
So what do you think of this film, given how high it is here as well?
Hang on just 1 minute. Oh, it's so...
Could have made it clearer. Anyway. But...
I don't want to talk about it. It was traumatizing for me as a Marvel fan. As what would you call? He's not an anti-hero, is he?
Well,
like,
yeah, he is.
I don't class him as an.
Well, he's a vampire.
Fine, we'll do it as an anti-hero, right? He's not. Oh God, it was awful. I can't. It was just dreadful. You were talking about Matt Smith, right? In this,
Yes.
I don't think it was good.
Well, I think he's just heavily miscast because, again, he's a sort of, he should be an intimidating villain, and instead he's just a, hi, I'm the teacher's pet sort of type.
I think all of them, right, all of the director and the producers need to stand for trial for crimes against superhero films. Now, honestly. And I'll be judge, jury and executioner because I'm not happy!
Leave Brittany alone! Anyway.
Oh my God!
But also, what was it?
It's awful! Edward, you don't understand how my brain works. When it comes to this sort of thing, it upsets me. See, I said at the start of the video, didn't I? Did I not? I warned you. I said here, I'm very dark. Here, I'm very happy. But I'm not gonna like... What's the phrase I'm looking for?
Hold back?
Yeah, today. I won't do it. I can't. Honestly, I'm not going to hold back. I can't do it anymore. I don't know how calm you're being. Oh, the special effects were this. They're from 2006. I kept checking how long there was to go just to see how much.
Well, yeah, it's very tedious. I mean, it wasn't the most boring film I've sat through this year, which I've already said, but it was the most, you know, monotonous, I would say.
It's worse than The Suicide Squad.
Well, yeah, it is, yes. I did, to be fair, I did say, I suppose, that it's the worst it's Catwoman.
And do you want to know what made my day worse?
Yeah.
I ended up watching a meme that said The Suicide Squad was 10 out of 10 that same day, and I wanted to cry.
Well, no one saw it, so be thankful. Even though James Gunn's been given a lot more control over the thing, which is really depressing. The final thing I'll say about Morbius is
I can't say anymore.
Is that if they did say it's morbing time throughout at any point, it probably would have made it would have at least shown the film.
Hit you if you say that again.
It would have shown the film had a sense of humour, which is clearly absent because has as much humour in it as a Linkin Park album, so that gives you a good idea of what I'm talking about from that era. Anyway, so my number 2 now is a film that is probably the film I enjoyed least watching from last year. That being Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Which out of all the films on this list, even including number 1, which if you've seen the thumbnail, you might get a hint of. I say might. This was, even that, including that, this was the film I enjoyed least. Because it's so, there's nothing, it's already a fool's errand to try and make a sequel to one of the best horror films ever made. Which you can't even really make a sequel to because essentially it's so deliberately intense and nihilistic and sort of like a contained experience that any sort of attempt to make a sequel to it is, you're shooting yourself in the foot already, which is why they're either very drastic or just a bit terrible, and this is terrible. because there's not really any characters, the story's very weak, and also they ruined Sally from the original, because they get some top-class Irish actress to play her, apparently, who doesn't even bother trying either a fucking accent. That makes it even better. And apparently she's meant to be one of the great Irish actresses, and she's decided to star in this shit. So apparently her agent must have been, you know, high off his, you know, high off his tits on cold medicine, and thought this was a good idea. This is a great idea. And they essentially turned into Laurie Strode from Halloween 2018, which is already bad enough, because essentially she's just Sarah Connor from Terminator 2 without the context. Which, they even rip off the climax from Terminator 2 as well.
Sorry, I'm laughing at myself because I was hiding a yawn and I pulled a funny face.
It doesn't matter. Well, the film is like that. And it's got politics in it too, because it talks about the Confederate flag and racism, and it even, in order to get some stupid sympathy for one of its leads, it actually evokes a certain thing that happens in America, which I don't think I can say on camera without being demonetized. And I don't want to be demonetized, quite frankly, so I won't say it. Let's just say it involves schools, and there are certain things that go pow pow. I'll say that much.
Could that be any more blunt?
Well, it avoids the bots going demonetization. I hope it does. Anyway, but I'm surprised. That's how fucking low this film goes. I actually had the balls to evoke those sort of events, like this sort of dumb, cheesy, bloody mess. That they have the gall to evoke that from something like this. All the while, I would say, I'm just a bit surprised they didn't make, you know, her a victim of, like, Adam Lanza or some shit. Make it even more tasteless and gross. Which there's plenty of that in the film. There's one scene where Leatherface tears his way through a bus, which I'm not against Corey Cunt, but when it has no point, it's just sleazy for its own sake. I just feel like I'm, you know, a voyeur of some kind, which I don't particularly enjoy, especially when this film, again, takes itself very seriously. Given that the original is actually a legitimately great film and is far less violent than actually any of its sequels, and actually relied on tension and terror, this is just not any good. And I just really hate how nihilistic and shit it was, quite frankly. And is there anything else to add with Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Just simply beyond the fact that I just hope they don't make any more sequels to this thing. And it's just dumb and not even like in an enjoyable way, but like in a stupid. It's just another lame slasher. I don't know what Netflix was thinking by picking this up. Out of all the horror, you know, movies they could pick to make a sequel to, this one. And all I'll say in conclusion is that Kim Newman, a great film critic, actually noted that what was it, when reviewing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the one back in '86, he noted that even though it was directed by the same guy as the original, did not only look like it was not from the same guy, but actually looked like he hadn't even. It did not only look like the guy hadn't made the first one, but he didn't actually see it. And clearly the guys who made this didn't see the first one. And I fully appreciate there's politics in the original one, but they're more subtle, and there's probably a little bit. I'm not being funny, but moaning about the Vietnam War and Henry Kissinger, I'm not saying, or, you know, animal rights and stuff like that, it's probably more rebellious back then than moaning about the Confederate flag is in 2022.
Oh my god.
Who got fucking wave a Confederate flag around anymore? Because it's, the fact that that's even involved, I'm just surprised they didn't go, yeah, and the school stuff as well, which is great, which this probably looked in very bad taste following Uvalde, so well done. Oh, fucking, yeah, this film is shit, and it's probably the film I least enjoyed this year. It's not the worst one, because at least it was competently made, so, but just go and watch the original, I mean, if you can stomach it, but at least there's merit in that, unlike this, which is dog shit. Anyway. And not a beautiful little cockapiece dog shit either. Anyway, so what's your number one, man? What's worse than Morbius?
I don't. I was shocked that this film was worse than Morbius. Honestly, I was genuinely surprised. But the fact that Marvel messed this up broke my heart. Messed up this character for Love and Thunder, right? Okay, this has actually split fans, I believe, but the ones on the this film's great side.
How much money do they get? I mean,
they that. The arguments do baffle me a lot, and I don't quite get where they're coming from with it, because I sat through that entire film. There was comedy in it. and I didn't laugh once.
Oh, but not
right?
even the rock monster.
It's not about comedy, obviously, with Marvel. Obviously, it's not like, oh, haha, let's make it into, like, Carry On. You know, the Carry On films or anything.
Yeah, for the American idiots who don't... I'm just joking.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, right. But I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what's the point of half the stuff I'm watching? Because half of the scenes that are in it just sort of make the rest of the film seem pointless. Like, throughout his previous films, he has now had 4 films in total. 4. 4,
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, come on, Amelia.
Go, baby, go, baby, go.
Get your words together. And throughout those films, he has had a lot of character development, okay? Especially, I could argue, in the first 2, he's had the most. Now, I have a very controversial opinion on the second film. I really like that one. A lot of people don't, and I don't quite get the hate on it.
I don't remember it.
I quite liked it. But what can
Chris O'Dowd was in it, that's what I remember.
you know what can you say? I've seen it around 3 or 4 times now, but I quite
More
like
than
it.
this then, I suppose.
I'm never seeing that shit again. But
look at the special effects.
yeah, literally. And they've made Asgard into this tourist attraction on Earth. And I'm sitting there like this. Sorry. It's meant to be like a mini sort of place where the Asgardians live. Okay, right. And they've basically sort of started doing a whole theatre show about it. And oh God, it's just, if I wanted to go to a theatre and watch a Marvel show, I'd pitch an idea to a producer and get them to make one. And I can guarantee an American would do it. Sorry. Right. Calm down. Anyway. So then they introduced Jane Foster. She's dying. Da, 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 and she turns into Lady Thor. Okay?
Yes, Queen Slay.
The reason why I call her Lady Thor is because that's in the comics, right? And even though she introduced herself as Thor. Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right, and I'm sitting here a little bit bamboozled because it's fine, but then they completely fuck off the character, right? Because you have such an opportunity here, and you know what, I'm giving away the ending.
I've already said spoilers, I don't know, it's fine. I'm pretty sure it's widely known the ending of this anyway.
I don't care, they kill her off with cancer, I don't get it. I don't know if that's how it goes in the comics.
Give me a second.
Sorry.
What does there's no point if I can't get the light on?
I don't know if that's how it goes in the comics. I'm guilty. I haven't read it.
We shouldn't have to, though.
But you have had such a great opportunity here to allow her in this universe, right? Don't just go and kill her. It makes no sense to me.
But that makes it more grounded in a film with a fucking rock monster.
Right? And this villain...
Christian Bale?
Yeah, all of a sudden, oh shit, what happened to him? See, I hate the film so much, I got traumatised.
He was murdered or something.
Yeah, I got traumatised and I blocked the majority of it out. So, anyway, he gets murdered, and also, before you know it, Thor's ended up raising his daughter, and now they're so-called Love and Thunder. Great! This is bullshit, and I've had enough. See, you can tell it's all flipped. Don't worry, you'll see my best and worst list, right? You'll see my best list even, and you'll see how DC
We're nearly there, don't worry.
I have also got extra things to say. Just a little hint. DC, you haven't completely won this year. You've still got something seriously wrong. You haven't won me completely over.
Why?
You just wait. You've done something really wrong.
Oh, the whole Ezra Miller thing.
Not just that, there's more.
Okay.
I've got more later. You fucked
the
up
Batgirl thing. And
not just that either. I wasn't going to comment on that, but don't give me more ideas. I'll do it.
Anyway, but didn't they also have like an Infinity Gauntlet restaurant or some shit?
Oh my God, yes! Don't get me started. I'll be here for weeks, okay? I can't hack much more. Edward, don't make me talk about it for long.
Okay,
Otherwise I'll
that's
cry.
fine. Before I move on, I'll just say one thing I forgot to mention about the other crap Marvel movies this year is that they rub off American Psycho one scene, and because instead of having Patrick Bateman exercise the porn or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is instead Matt Smith dancing to whatever song it was, and I'm just, you know, if anyone mentions to him that's him at Comic-Con. Apparently it's Karen Gillan who convinced him to do a superhero movie, and it reminds me of that line in the Spawn review by a certain critic we don't mention anymore about Martin Sheen wanted a superhero film and they gave him one. Oops. Anyway, but my worst of the year is Black Adam. Fucking with you. It's a different film with black in it, and it stars a guy who I'm not going to be too mean to because I know he's been recently diagnosed with cancer, which I hope he gets better in all seriousness. But it is
surprised for a second.
Blackbird.
What, the one on Apple?
No, unless Michael Flatley's in that somehow also.
I haven't seen it, by the way. I don't ever.
Oh, this fucking film, it is literally as bad as you've had. Any other critics list that you see that does not have this film on it is either lying or they're not from Britain or Ireland. Because there cannot be a fucking film worse than fucking Blackbird last year. Admittedly, it's the one I enjoyed the most out of all the ones I wrote about. Sorry. That I have on this list. Beyond Deep Water. Because the rest are really boring. But this is entertaining in the bad way. Because, let's just say the rest of them are actually proper films. Right? No dispute, they're actually films that were made and clearly written and competently made for the most part, except for the shitty effects in Morbius. But never mind. And, but Blackbird is not a film, it's a vanity project from Michael Flatley to convince you that he's see, I can say while laughing, that he's a competent action star, that he's a great actor, and that he can sleep with young women, you know, all these really beautiful young women, and he can't act for Duffy. He just legitimately cannot act. It's probably the worst performance of the decade. Like, if there's anyone worse than this, I'll be quite surprised. And to give you a kind of idea of why this film is so bad and why it's kind of gotten quite a lot of notoriety, the way the film is shot and directed and written, it's a spy movie, by the way, is that it comes across as like a film. You give a child, a foreign child who doesn't know English very well, who can't really grasp it as a language, who knows about as well as sort of like your local Uber driver, depends on what part of the country you live in. Oh anyway, leave the edgy stuff out for now. But this, he does, was it? You give this foreign child, tell him to write a spy thriller and direct one. That's how it comes across. It's literally that awkward. It reminds me of an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but he's never directed anything this incompetent. And also, there's a lot of very stupid shit going down in this film too. And look at all the endless hats Michael Flatley wears. The action scenes are terrible, including one where Michael Flatley is able to beat up a guy 3 times his height and build without a fucking scratch. And everyone just laughed. To be fair, we laughed quite a lot during the movie because all the acting is legitimately terrible. And what else is there that's really awful about fucking Blackbird? Oh yeah, the climax where they kill 2 people off screen. You don't actually see it. And then they don't even have a climax because they have a shootout and we don't see what happens.
Oh, that was like the thing in Thor Love and Thunder, right? We could tell that the comedy was absolutely ghastly when it came up. And I did glance around the cinema and there was... You could cut the atmosphere with a knife. We all blooming knew, but no one was saying anything because we're all Marvel and Thor fans. Well, so we weren't looking at each other like, we don't know what to do here.
Probably about as right as the crowd I saw Blackbird with. I've been to probably like political stuff to cover it, protests and all of that. I don't think that had as many people there as it did in Blackbird. The only other Prince and Charles cinema screening, which was this crowd, was out of the room, which a lot of people said was as bad as this. But
did anyone walk out?
No, we all knew what kind of film we were in for, Amelia. Everyone got their money's worth. They all laughed at it.
Someone walked out of mine. I've just remembered. No, seriously, I'm not lying. I think someone walked out of mine.
To be fair, I don't think, Amelia, your film was meant to be good. Mine was meant to be bad. And my God, it was bad because everyone was, immediate from the start of the screen, everyone was sarcastic, clapping and laughing because the editing is really cut together so terribly. And the acting is legitimately very dreadful from probably everyone, except for actually Eric Roberts, who actually, to his credit, is quite a good villain in this, in terms of the way he acts. Essentially, he's Nicolas Cage in All of War. Maybe they could have put... Actually, Nicolas Cage has suffered from enough bad movies anyway. But, thankfully, I didn't see this before I saw him at Comic-Con this year, because I could, you know... I would have been very reluctant not to mention it and laugh a little bit because, yeah, he got paid, I suppose. But what are the other really stupid things about this film? The fact that it's really poorly put together. The fact that, what are the other really bad things about this fucking film? I can't really remember that beyond the action. There's some really dumb scenes.
What about the curtain thing, you know, where they have to, when he couldn't afford to do the scene, so he ended up doing the fight behind the scenes.
Yeah, I just see.
Oh, you mentioned that, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they did the behind the fucking thing.
Oh, that's what you meant. Oh,
yeah, that's fine, it's fine. Anyway, but, yeah, and there isn't even much action in this thinking about it. You could probably find more action and more entertaining action, by the way, in one of Jim Van Bebber's movies from the 80s, and of course, I'm specifically talking about Dead Beat at Dawn. But anyway, and he didn't have the money that Michael Flatley did. And it's so badly edited and put together that people were immediately laughing at the opening scene where it cuts from some funeral, him with his lover to a funeral.
Oh my God.
And there's flashbacks to a fucking scene where it shows why his wife died. He makes a certain face, Michael Flatley, like, never could help but fucking laugh. And all the other things that go on in this film that are legitimately very stupid. I'm just trying to think. Just the way it's put together where, I don't know, it doesn't really have a sort of coherent way it goes together. All the fact that some of the direction's really interesting. There's a long shot, which is actually quite a good long shot, but there's no reason to have it in there to make the film look artsy. Or the fact that, you know, a lot of inconsequential stupid shit happens. Oh yeah, the really bizarre tonal shifts. That's the thing I forgot to mention, where it's like mostly sort of silly and all the rest of it, but then there's one scene where some guy's getting tortured. And it looks like a scene out of Reservoir Dogs or Old Boy, where he's sitting in a chair and he's really fucking bloody. And it's so killed all the rest of the movie, even up to that point. They're just, what the fuck? And everyone's just making jokes about Michael Flatley trying to be hard. And a lot of the lines of dialogue are terrible. Or the fact that the one person who's married to, what's his name? Eric Roberts in the film. Oh my God, can't believe he's an evil villain, even though he's a notorious arms dealer. Oh my and apparently God. There's a part, what was it? And he also there's also really dumb lines of dialogue about, you know, he needs to repent his sins, but he's going to sin again. Like a Steven Seagal film from like the fucking 90s. And, oh yeah, apparently this poker game doesn't work because apparently they fucked that up too. And, is there anything else I really, yeah, that's all I really have to say. But to be fair, at least we got our laughs and to be fair, we all made jokes at the film, because I remember people joking about Taken, and I remember even making an Office reference because he was pretending to be hard, and I said, oh, you're on, and to be fair, someone laughed next to me. So it shows that. But the thing I'll say on Blackbird to conclude is that people said this is like 2022's answer to The Room, and I don't dispute that in some ways, but I think The Room, A, was less cynical in the way it was made, because that's clearly made by a bunch of dudes with no money, which Michael Flatley's not exactly broke, I'll say that much. And it was left on a shelf and the difference is The Room was released immediately, and at least they've embraced the madness, whereas they left Blackbird on a shelf for 4 years because they got so much, because when it was originally at a film festival in 2018, which this would have been the worst film in 2018 had it come out then, apparently they got so much bad press that, give me a second. There we are. Anyway, but in the case of Blackbird, it got so much bad press that actually they had to bury it for 4 years. The fact they released it at all, and it's still this in common, it makes me a little bit more pissy at it than I otherwise would be. And, and it won an award at a Monaco streaming festival for Best Performance of Michael Flatley. Apparently the other films they got were the local fucking park plays by the little children who, you know. Yeah, but this film is legitimately crap, and the only reason it's not like one of the worst films I've ever seen is because A, I laughed too much, and B, it's actually, to be fair, well shot quite a lot of it. And also in the case of The Room, comparisons, The Room is not well made in any way, whereas this is actually clearly showing that there's some actual people who know how to make a film involved. It's well shot, and Eric Roberts is actually quite good in it. The only one is even trying. The rest of them are like, yeah, but that film is fucking shit.
Every time you mention The Room, you're slowly getting me closer and closer to wanting to see it.
Well, to be fair, at least The Room's entertaining, and at least
I'd have to watch it with you. I can watch it on my own now.
Oh, especially the sex scenes.
Oh, for God's sake! But what? No, I'm not watching sex scenes on my brother.
Oh, they're really awkward too. I forgot about that. I mean, there's none in Blackbird, obviously, because that would have looked really wrong. But
oh, for God's sake!
It is very infantile. It's stupid. But in all seriousness, but it's the film I hate the most this year. But to be fair, it's the most enjoyable. And to be fair, I'll end on a positive note. Michael Flatley, please get well soon. And, you know, just... This film was shit, but at the very least, I hope you get better. And now, let's on to our best of.
So, honourable mentions from last year. Hocus, Pocus 2. I liked that film a lot. I really did. It made me laugh. And the first one, if you want to compare the first one, I nearly cried like a baby at the end. This one, I did not, which I think, would it be a good thing? I don't know, I'm not sure. However, the ending I did really like, because the three girls at the end were skipping the same way that the witches do. I don't know, I just found it really hilarious, and I mean, come on, you can't beat a Hocus Pocus Halloween film.
I've never seen either of them, so I can't comment.
You should. Wait, you saw the first one?
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I actually didn't.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought you were there. No, but the comedy was good, the acting was good, Bette Midler, all the witches were good. I always forget who the actors...
Sarah Jessica Parker is one of the other ones. I don't remember the third one, I'm afraid. Sorry, whoever that is.
And the third one I always forget. It's always it's always the third one. Me and my mum always have to Google her, and it's so ridiculous. But all three of them are great.
At least it's not Andrew Ridley. What's his name with Wham? In
this one, everyone does brilliant, and there's literally no bad actor or actress in it, or bad character. The only reason it didn't make it onto the list, however, is because there were just better films, unfortunately, with much better plot. No, not much better plot.
Well, better writing, I suppose. Yes.
No, I can't describe it. Just more. It just couldn't make it onto the list. I don't know. If it was top 10, I'd put it at number 6. So okay. It's more of an honourable mention. All
right, I'm just going to go through some honourable mentions very briefly because I want to get to the real good stuff. Firstly, the Northman, which I liked fine. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm very disappointed it flopped, but it is very much a film with all style, no substance for me. But I mean, a film that seriously needs either a sense of humour or it needs... the film should have had a bit more character and plot depth, or it should have had a sense of humour. You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So there's that. And I enjoyed it very much, but there's no depth to it, and I can see why it didn't really have much appeal, but it was a bit of a shame. It reminded me pretty much like one of these post-Gladiator sort of historical epics that probably Mel Gibson will be involved in, even though Apocalypse is better than Northman. I enjoyed the Northman fine. I wish there were more films like it, weirdly enough, but I can see why audiences didn't take to it so well. It's fine. Not my favourite, but whatever. Another one is Top Gun Maverick, which we'll discuss much later. I'll just say I enjoyed it fine, but again, no depth, and I need something a little bit more nostalgia, given the fact that I'm not a... I'm not a Gen X or a Boomer, so at least for my taste. And the final one is She Said, which I quite enjoyed, even though it was very televisual, and there were some other things about it I didn't like. Samantha Morton's great in it, by the way. Anyway,
okay.
What do you figure? Do you have any opinions on She Said before we move on? Because you saw it with me.
I thought it was good. Would I put it in honourable mentions?
Well, you didn't, so...
No, I didn't.
Okay, so...
I did like it, though.
What's your number 5, then?
It is... Black Adam. Right, Black Adam. Dwayne Johnson. I don't think I've ever seen a perfect cast or a perfect character, and it's just, he just really ruled that role. He did such a good job. Every time I just watched the film and I thought to myself, my God, I just want him to just tell everyone to... When he practically did, and Black Adam practically did. Every time the rest of them said, "Oh, don't kill anyone," he was just like, "Oh, okay." And I'm thinking, finally, a film where we get it. And I just was sitting there thinking, we just don't need anyone else there, you know? Let's just have him there, and we'll be fine. And the only time I realised that we did need anyone else there was towards the end, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. But I think it was a cracking film. Everything from sets to writing, even I'm gonna get his name wrong.
Pierce Brosnan, yeah.
Yes, Pierce Brosnan was brilliant, actually.
Well, it's usually worth it in anything instead of the Mamma Mia films. Anyway,
Pierce Brosnan was class. Yeah, I don't know. I think they were all brilliant personally. I did like Black Adam a lot. I really did. The only problem for me, though, was you're gonna get annoyed at me for this. Was that end credit scene? It's annoying. Why
am I gonna get annoyed at you for that?
I don't know. It's a pick for me. I don't like it. This goes for DC or Marvel. They're both guilty of this. When they have an end credit scene that goes nowhere.
Yeah.
They've done this before, and they will do it again. Because Henry Cavill is no longer Superman, right? They've sacked him recently. I'm trying not to get gross, and it's just ludicrous, right? And so now they've made this whole thing, and it's just not happened, and I'm just, that's the only thing that annoyed me. But that's not the whole Black Adam film's fault. But there were also some cringe moments that is usually what I start as a call. A DC, oh, that's clearly DC. They've pulled a DC.
Fucking DC.
Yeah, basically. And I'm just like, oh, make it stop. That's why it's not higher on the list. It's a 3-star, 4-star, and I do quite like it a lot. I
liked it fine, which was a little bit more of a cohesive whole, but I still enjoyed it anyway, and I quite like The Rock. So anyway, my number 5 is one that's going to be off on a worse list, so it shows you how stupid I am. But I put Blackbird on mine. I think I'm okay. But so my number 5 is Jurassic World Dominion, because I really enjoyed it. It was quite a nostalgia trip, and for me that was enough. Even though they did weirdly enough rip off Stranger Things quite a lot, which was a bit strange, but I don't know. Usually it's a sign.
Is it strange to rip off Stranger Things?
Could have ripped off Strange Days too, Amelia. That's a great film as well, by the way. Anyway, but yeah, I quite liked it. I like the fact that they got Grant and Sattler back together, but then again, I'm using the police and that sort of shit. But it was a nice tie-up to the series, and the actual scene in Malta is actually probably one of the best set pieces of the entire franchise. That includes the stuff that happens in the first one and the one in the second film, Lost World, where they're dangling off a cliff. And this is actually really good, and it's not admittedly the best in this series by any means, but I still quite liked it. It was much better than some of the other ones, and I'll just leave it at that. But it was still really good, and it was a nice conclusion to the series until they make the next one and completely ruin it yet again. So, and also sort of like the edgy stuff. I like the sort of the mocking of big tech platforms. I quite like that, where it was just a robot. Not very subtle, but I quite enjoyed it. I wish more films would do that, but why would they? Anyway, what's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is, you think the way I've slagged off Marvel today that this would be a surprise. Multiverse of Madness. Okay. 2 of the main reasons for this. Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen. That's why. Okay. The reasons for this. Okay. However, the reason this is number 4, the plot was really good. Great story. Really like it. It's just like everything was going so well, right? The what do you call it? The special effects. Sorry, yeah. I had a complete brain fart there. The special effects were perfect. Like you know the eye monster thing, you know, right at the start. That's actually Elizabeth's eye. They scanned it and made it into a big thing. Apparently. All right. That's what they did. I don't know if that's true. I swear that's what they said. Right. Don't come crying to me. I said I'm not sure. I read it somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, now the evil robots have gone. Alright. Anyway. And then it was all going so well. Right. The twist where I actually believed that she was going to look after America. Everything was going to be alright. And then it turns out she wasn't. She was still evil. And then they get captured by the so-called Illuminati.
We're breaking their conditioning!
But it was all going so well, and then Rachel McAdams shows up, right? Which is fine, I like her. Her character. But it's this whole Doctor Strange, and I can't remember her character's name. It's so frustrating!
Beautiful Canadian.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's that fake...
Very good in The Notebook.
It's that fake flirting, we don't know if we want a relationship thing or not thing. In his universe, she's married. Can we just get over this, please, and move on with our lives? It's done. Oh my God, this is not a teen blooming series. This is a Marvel movie where we're all gonna die unless you all get your shit together. Can we just move on? You're meant to be protecting a multiverse travelling child here. Oh, God. And then Wanda, at the end, Wanda goes and dies, right? Which, let's face it, none of us are buying. Come on now, she's the Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch doesn't die. Right?
Never say die. Duh, duh, duh.
No Time to Die. Shit film, by the way. Really shit. I hated it. Let's face it, so did you.
I actually didn't, but anyway. Well, I didn't.
I did.
Anyway.
Right. What else was there? What's my train of thought? Oh, anyway. No, but it's the reason it's number 4 and it went above Black Adam was because the writing was, there was a good plot there. It was strong. And yeah, I've just, it all sewed up together a bit more clean and better. Like, unlike Black Adam, it was a bit there was a good plot there, but it was a little bit messy in parts, and there was a DC cringe that I just can't let go. But in Marvel, in Multiverse of Madness, it did work better. So it's number 4.
I don't really have much to add on that. I was a bit surprised how much they allowed of Sam Raimi to be in the film, where he actually allows Deadites and stuff. And I thought, crikey. Anyway, but
he's such a good director. I do love Raimi.
The next one I'm gonna say is number 4, which is another franchise. Well, most of mine are franchises, which shows you how intellectually dim-witted I am, but solid. Anyway, number 4 is Sonic 2, which I quite enjoyed because I really enjoyed the first one, even though it's very rough around the edges. I put that on my best of 2020 list. And this is actually better just because it has a bit more heart, and it's a little bit more entertaining, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it as well. Especially because I didn't have a particularly good day as well, it cheered me up. And also, the thing that sold it for me is it has a Pantera song in it, and that made me very happy bunny. Just shame it didn't do for Walk what Stranger Things did for Kate Bush, so. Even though I really quite enjoyed this one, and it was one of the more entertaining efforts this year.
Don't make me sing it.
Well, anyway, so that was my number 4. It's a very entertaining, very good film, and I'm interested to see what they do with the third one. It is, I just thought they're allowed to go a bit more of a sort of Cult 21 Jump Street route, but that's what these films sort of are inspired by, and I think they do quite well from it. Anyway, you're number 4?
The audience want me to sing it.
Well, we're not live, so you can go ahead if you want.
Running up that hill. No, I'm joking.
Anyway, so you're number 3?
Jackass Forever.
Oh, that's mine as well, so...
Excellent. That went well, didn't it, Edwards?
Yes, anyway, so number 3 was Jackass Forever, because I really enjoyed it, and it's a very...
I actually didn't know this, by the way.
It's a very good Jackass film, and it's just another great film. It's very funny, and it's not missing for everybody. I was surprised with the edgy shit, especially with spiders and sexual stuff they get away with, but that's the way it goes, and I found it a very entertaining return to form for the lot. I'm just very glad none of them was seriously injured during production. Okay,
can I give you some advice? You're going to watch this, right? And you didn't get a chance to see it in cinemas. So, let's just say it ends up on Netflix or on Sky or whatever. Or is it already on Sky or whatever, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Alright. So you download it and you watch it. Do not bring food with you, because me and Edward both had empty popcorn boxes, and we were both nearly sick instead of at one stamp.
I can't remember
which one it was. And there was 2 people behind us, and we were going like this. I can't remember which one it was either, but we both nearly threw up into it.
I'm just amazed at some of the edgy shit they still get, especially the bear and the fucking...
Oh my god, I nearly died. I was like... And then they had to really summon him out, because he was really licking him. I thought, oh no, he's going to
Should have got a big cockapoo in there instead.
Oh, I did cockapoo. It wouldn't have been as dangerous, though.
Well, maybe if you made it really hungry, and you put, like, bits of bacon on them.
Yeah, put loads of bacon on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
it's your bedtime, anyway.
Oh, shush.
Anyways.
It's way past yours, anyway. Should have been I
know. Anyway. So, yeah, that was our number 3. Is there anything else you wanted to say on it? Or?
No. No.
I just like Bam Main
Oh, yeah, besides, some advice. You watch the film, right? Don't eat with it. Or maybe... Don't eat at least 2 hours before.
Well, don't eat at certain parts during it, because there was some stuff that's probably not appropriate for eating.
Yeah, we're advising them like they've just bought a gremlin.
Anyway. So what's your number 2 then?
My number 2? Alright, hang on. My number 2? Ah, it's the Batman. I did really enjoy this film. I thought it was great. However, we have an issue. My God, was it long.
Yep. Longest film, actually, even longer than Lady of Heaven, which is 2.5 hours, by the way. Right,
okay. The thing is with long films, you do have to have a good reason for it. And with the Batman, I don't know if it... I'm still arguing whether it had a good reason for it. This might be a result in multiple confusion why it isn't my number 2. So I'm going to justify it. The reason why it's at my number 2 is because I am never usually a fan of the villain Penguin. I have never really understood or really been a fan of him. But I feel this film has changed my mind completely, and I don't know why.
Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, I sat down and I went, oh, it's quite
completely unrecognisable, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right? And I thought Andy Serkis was really good.
May have Comic Con as well, but it could have been worse on my end, I suppose. I've met people who ask you.
Oh, who else was there? Oh, crikey, who else was there? Oh, the Riddler, though, was...
was Nerdy Killer in a different movie.
Yeah, I know. That was the only real problem for me.
I don't blame Paul Dano, I just think he was just miscast again. And again, it's not...
But what the riddles or... Not pranks, we'll just do riddles. What the riddles was really good, I feel. It suited the darkness of the movie well. I do feel the dark of the film really worked. Robert Pattinson, surprisingly, I was surprised at how good he was. I didn't think...
He's saying it's better than Batfleck?
Yeah. Definitely. He was way better than him. Absolutely. However, he's not better than Bale.
No, of course he isn't.
He's not better than Bale, but he's better than Affleck.
What's his face he does Ben Affleck? Give me a second.
It's just, I don't know. But yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I really did enjoy it. It's just, it's a shame it was so long. There's a good chunk. I know, I can picture in my head the part I would have cut out. And it still would have been the same film. Yeah.
Actually, quickly before we move on to our number 1s, is that I liked it fine. I just think it's very nihilistic and bleak. And I understand it's probably appropriate for 2022, but...
It's meant to be dark. It's Batman.
Yeah, still, but to the point of parody.
It's Gotham.
Well, yeah, but in something like The Dark Knight, there's...
Gotham's dark.
The Dark Knight trilogy, there is a lot of humility to it. Like, for instance, there's a great scene in The Dark Knight where the Joker's doing his 2 boats thing, where he's going to blow one of them up, blow both of them up if one of them doesn't blow up the other. And the thing that happens is that a prisoner in one of the boats actually says, give me the detonator, and he throws out the window because he's not going to kill anyone. That sort of humility wouldn't exist in the world of the Batman, where it's essentially just a war of all against all in Hobbesian terms. I didn't dislike it for that, but I just found it a bit, you know, tedious at points. And again, stuff like Paul Dano being miscast probably didn't help either. But that's just my opinion. So, my number 2, actually, give me a second if I could get the light on. There we go. My number 2 is a Netflix documentary, and it's Tinder Swindler, which I really enjoyed.
Fair enough, that is good.
That is very good, yeah. And
I had to go sit through this 3 times because I had to. I watched it on my own.
And then
I watched it with my mum and dad, and then I watched it with Edward, mum and dad.
And I really quite liked it. I thought it was very good and very interesting documentary. And fuck the... I can't remember the dude's name, some twat who's the son of a judge or rabbi, I can't remember which one it is. Who's now a free man again, sadly, but... Oh, well. And
it's shocking how he gets away with it, to be honest.
And he... Well, maybe he has connections, I don't know. And he there's a quite... It has a sort of populist cleaning at the end, which I usually don't like in these sort of films, but it worked for this one. It's a very...
It had a what?
Sort of like, you know, let's get the bad guys sort of thing, which I think is usually too simple for these kind of documentaries. I thought it really worked here. And it's a very good film and a very entertaining watch. Not exactly an easy watch, it's why all these dating apps are evil, and, you know, unless you need to watch a bunch of Mr. Nightmare and Chilling Scares videos to get the point. I'm not sure, but it is a great documentary, and I highly recommend watching it. What's your number 1 then? I figured out what it might be.
You can do your drum roll. Actually, it wasn't necessary, but it's okay. He put this in honourable mentions, I believe he did.
Indeed I did.
I loved this film. I thought it was class. It made me smile, and I thought it was way better than the original, than the one before.
Yeah, the original's fine. No Michael Ironside though, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I know, right? Top Gun Maverick. What a film! Oh my god, it was so good. I really enjoyed it. The action was perfect. I loved all the conflict that was going on. It just made me lean forward and watch it. You know when a film, right? You know a film is good when it makes you lean forward, concentrate and sucks you in. Like it just sucks you in and you're practically there. That's what it did, right? It made you sort of... It made me, this is going to sound really strange, it made me sort of feel like, oh my god, this is insane. Like when, what happened? Sort of like the plane crash and then they all got stuck or whatever. Like, do you remember?
And near the end of the film,
yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, at the end of the film.
T.J. Miller's character.
Yeah.
I think that's his name.
And then Tom Cruise went back for him and then they both got stranded. And then we're like, what's going to happen? And then they found that old plane. They're like, hey, give that back. And they're like, no, bye. And I was like, oh my god. It was so cool. I just loved the film. There's not many words to describe how much I thought this was the best film of 2022. It just really ruled. I really think it did a good job. I mean, there was superhero films that came out this year. They just couldn't top this at all. I think they... Even though DC did a good job, Marvel did an average to good job. This wiped the floor clean. Simple, done. Good night, Argentina.
I thought this was fine. I just thought there wasn't really much depth. And also, I thought this was a good Jerry Bruckheimer 90s action film. I don't know what... I can see why a lot of people like it, but I just want a little bit more meat with the gravy is my attitude. And I just think this speaks to the fact that it's so popular. In some cases, not yours, but in other cases, that it speaks to people who want to have a more settled culture and civilization, quite frankly, back in the good old days where we didn't have stupid agitation. Not you, just a lot of other people.
I'm going to take
Read Mark Fisher and find out.
I'm going to take every single offence to that word.
Rest in peace.
Edward's being mean to me, everyone.
I
you know he holds me captive during these videos and he makes me do this. He holds me
I pay you good money.
I'm only getting 1p during everything.
Well, if only. Anyway, so I'll just get on to my number one and then we can, before we freeze to death of the car. Anyway, so my number one is a very great thriller.
It's completely different to that.
It's a very great thriller and one of the best thrillers of recent years. And it is Boiling Point, which I also watched on Netflix. And it's a very great film. Stephen Graham gives a tip-top performance. It's very tense. And I can relate to some of the arseholes in the work environment that these people have to deal with. Not maybe the race space, but the fact that they're arseholes. And you know who you are. Anyway, but it's a great film and very tense and just, you know, at least at the boiling point and then fizzles over. I'm not saying what happens. Go and watch it for yourself. It's great. And, you know, it's also one whereby great performances all around. Jason Fleming's excellent in this. The only thing when I saw him at Comic-Con as well, funnily enough, I didn't tell him. The thing I regret not telling him was how good he is in this. And it is one of the best thrillers of recent years. It is really good. One shot and it's done very cleanly and it's very, very good. That's all I'll say. Just go watch it for God's sake. And that's my number one. And the last thing we should do before actually anything else is, do you have any opinions on Boiling Point you want to share? Because you watched it with.
Yeah, it was good.
That's all you have to say about it. Anyway, so just in general, the final bit we do is the best and worst of we've seen in general. I'll let you start.
This isn't worse than Lot 4 Love and Thunder. This is just disappointing, tragically. This is mainly based... okay. This is called Curse of Bridge Hollow. This is a Netflix film. So, it's about this family that moved to a place called Bridge Hollow, and it's set around Halloween, and it stars the girl that plays Erica in Stranger Things. So that's one of the main reasons I watched it in the first place.
As did everyone else, I suppose.
As did everyone else, and it looks so cool. And I'm not going to give away any spoilers because I don't see the point. I'm not recommending it, and I just don't.
What's this a fucking spoil?
Yeah. And I just watched it and I laughed twice. It was meant to be a comedy. You should laugh.
6 laugh test is what Mark Commode, that prick, I mean a film critic, sets out, which even though I don't like him anymore, that's usually a good standard, I find.
Laughed twice. Okay. Right. It's just a bit... Oh, it's just an awkward one. I don't really... See, you can tell I don't have much to say on it because of how disappointed I am. Because I watched the trailer like 3 times. That's how much I was looking forward to it. And then when it finally came out, I'm watching the film and I'm like... Oh, you know when you deflate a balloon?
That's
that was me afterwards. I'm just like... Anyway, so there's not much to say. The acting... Oh, Kelly Rowland's also in it. She is not very good.
Really? I didn't know that.
She is not very good. Yeah, the acting's alright otherwise. There's this whole thing about vegan bacon for a while.
Jesus, it's like so propaganda.
Yeah, and saying how shit it is. And then I'm done. And that's it, that's for my worst. Do you want my best?
Yeah, might as well.
And my best is the first Hocus Pocus. Because I nearly cried like a baby at the end, and no films make me cry, really. And it was beautiful. I love it. It made me laugh and nearly made me cry, and it was just a wonderful film. I love it. I think it's perfect for Halloween, and when Halloween comes around, when Halloween comes back around, that's the film I'm going to be putting on, and then straight after I'm putting on the second one. And Edward, you're going to enjoy it.
I'll see, anyway.
No, not you'll see.
Okay, now some of my best and worst I saw in general. The best is, the worst is still fucking Blackbird, but if I had to pick anything else, it would be Veronica, a different film for Netflix. Fuck you, Jason Blum, because this is your fault. This film was very influenced by Blumhouse, and the fact that it's just a casual prod cinema, as again Mark Camo calls it, where it's just scare after scare after scare. No attempted characters or story, it's literally just that, and the fact they base it off a real murder. Go fuck off, dude.
Yeah, it's
like, this is... I probably...
Murder? What aren't you allowed to say?
Sorry, I'm not sure. Actually, not murder, but someone dying, and they claim it's possession. Ugh. So it reminds me of the idiots online who claim there's some German woman who was possessed, apparently, when she was seriously mentally ill and needed help.
Wow.
But she's possessed. Oh, really? Yeah, science means nothing, apparently. Anyway, but yeah, the film's crap, and I don't recommend it to anybody. And all the, you know, clearly bot accounts or more of a studio people who flood horror forums on Facebook, you know who you are, who say this is scary. I've probably sat through scary episodes of Grizzly Tales, let's just say that much. Anyway, the best I've seen in general was certain... Well, I'm just going to say it, Hellraiser, which I watched again at French Shell Cinema, and it's one of the best horror films ever made. Really good, really well acted, written, directed, and the real villains are not the Cenobites, I'll just say that much. Go and watch it, it's excellent. I really like Kirsty Cotton. We love Ashley Lawrence, Kirsty Cotton, and Clive Barker. And just beyond that, Lord of War, which is a really good film about cynical war trading. It's very perfect in these times concerning Ukraine and Russia, and that's all I'll say about that. But thank you for watching, guys. If you have any films you'd like to recommend, just leave them in the comments. I am going to be doing more gaming videos in the future, and I'll see you shortly. Bye-bye.
I'm Amelia. Bye!